Welcome to class PM. The previous class we have studied about the modes of nutrition, and we have also learned the structure of cell, and we also have seen the classification of organisms based on the number of cells. Now let us continue. Like I have asked a question in the previous class, like which part of the plant is said to be the food factory? Is that every part considered to be the place for synthesis of food? No, obviously it is not. If you recall the knowledge which you have obtained from your class 6, we have learned that leaf is considered to be the food factory of the plant where the food is being synthesized. Now, we know that the process of making food using simple raw materials is said to be photosynthesis. So, let us learn about photosynthesis in this class. So even before I start with photosynthesis, I just wanted to tell you the meaning of photosynthesis. In Greek, photo means light. Synthesis is photosynthesis, light, putting together, or you can also call it as to combine, putting together or to combine. So this photosynthesis means, photo means light, synthesis is putting together or to combine. So this process of making food in plants is said to be photosynthesis. Now as discussed, I have told you that the leaves are considered to be the food factory, right? The synthesized food in plants, and the raw materials which are required for the synthesis of food are usually obtained from the surroundings. So let me write down the raw materials again. So the raw materials which are needed are water, carbon dioxide, sunlight, minerals. Now let us learn in detail how these raw materials are obtained. So when we start with water and minerals, we know that this water and minerals are present in the soil. They are absorbed by the roots and are transported to the leaves. Okay, I'll just write it down. Present in the soil and are transported through roots. So in the same way, the minerals are also present in the soil and are transported through roots. So we have obtained two raw materials. We have seen how are these been transported. So the leaves obtain water and minerals from the soil, which are present in the soil, and these have to be, we know that when you draw the structure of a plant, let me draw it here. This is the root system which is present underground, right? And you can see the various branches like this bearing leaves, right? So we know that the roots are present in the soil, and the roots have a tendency to absorb the water which is present in the form of moisture in the soil and minerals, and now we know that as they are present deep in the ground, they have to be transported till the leaf. The leaf is the shoot system, right? And this is the root system. Leaves are exposed above the ground and roots are present inside the ground, right? So the water and the minerals which are absorbed are transported to the leaves. You can see the dotted structure, like the way they are been transported through the stems and branches where they reach leaves. Now the next raw material which is needed, that is carbon dioxide. From where do the plants get carbon dioxide? The plants get carbon dioxide from the atmospheric air. That means we know that there is air present around us, and air is mixture of gases which has oxygen, which has carbon dioxide, which has nitrogen and many other gases, right? So this carbon dioxide is taken from air. So now there is a question, if the carbon dioxide is taken up from the air, how does it enter into the plant body? Taken from air in the form of gas. The carbon dioxide is absorbed into the leaf. Okay, now there is a question. If carbon dioxide is taken from the air, how does this reach the surface of the leaf? So when you take the structure of the leaf has tiny pores on its surface. Pores means small holes. So these tiny pores which are present on the surface of the leaf are surrounded by cells which are of kidney shaped. See, these tiny pores which are present, they are surrounded by kidney shaped cells, and these cells are called as guard cells. What are they called? Okay, so these are called as guard cells, and this tiny pore is said to be stomata. So what does this do? As the leaf has tiny pores on it, you can see the structure of stomata here. The stomata is been surrounded by a kidney shaped cells. You know kidney shaped cells, right? So imagine these are guard cells, right? And there is a space in between my two arms, right? And imagine this to be the stomata. So if the plant has to take carbon dioxide, the pores get open, the guard cells open, and the stomata takes in carbon dioxide and immediately closes. So the opening and closing of guard cells will help in taking carbon dioxide. Now we know that water and minerals are transported to the leaves. Okay, I've told you that water and minerals are transported to the leaves through vessels, which through small vessels. You know what is a vessel, right? Through the vessels which run up like pipes throughout the root, stem, branches and the leaves. So there are tiny vessels present. Okay, you can say there are tiny vessels present inside this branches, inside the branch, inside the stem, inside the branches. Okay, and what do? They carry the water just like as pipeline. See, if you have to get water into your house, what do? You dig the pipeline, you connect it to a nearest water source so that you can get water into your house. In the same way, the roots are connected to the stem, right? Now the stem acts as a main passage, or the stem acts as a road to carry the water, or the stem acts as a pipe to carry the water to the various branches. It is not that only one single branch has leaves and only this part of the leaf will make photosynthesis or undergo process of photosynthesis. Every leaf has a tendency to make the food. So how do they take in water? The roots, the minerals and the water which are being absorbed by the roots are transported through vessels in the form of pipeline which are present or spread all over the branches, stems, okay, and they reach leaves, okay, and they form a continuous path or a passage so that the nutrients can reach the leaf. Now you have a question like sunlight. Now from where does the plant get sunlight? We all know that sunlight is the major source of light, yes, and this is obtained from the sun. Now you know that sunlight also has to reach the earth from the atmosphere. Now there is a question, okay, minerals and water are transported through roots, through pipelines, and carbon dioxide is taken up by stomatal cells. Now how is the sunlight being absorbed into the leaf? Again, these stomatal cells which are present, they open, they take in carbon dioxide and sunlight, and then they close the structures. So this is how they take in sunlight and carbon dioxide to make the process of food. So even before they make the process of food, we know that the leaves are always green in color, right? Only in the autumn season we see that the leaves turn pale, that is light yellow or yellow in color, or they get dried up and they fall off. But usually the leaves are green in color. And now why are the leaves in green color? The leaves are green in color because they have a pigment called chlorophyll, the green pigment present in leaves. Okay, chlorophyll is nothing but the green pigment which is present in leaves. So this chlorophyll which is present, it helps the leaves to capture the sunlight. It helps the leaves to capture the energy from the sunlight, and this energy is used to synthesize the food. So the chlorophyll, the green pigment which is present in the leaves, will help to capture the sunlight. And where is this chlorophyll pigment present? In the leaf. Obviously, what do leaves have? Stomatal openings. So this stomatal openings along with the chlorophyll structure, I'll show you the structure of a leaf when you just observe it. Okay, so they have stomatal cells like this which are arranged, and this is again the lower epidermis. Okay, so you find this chlorophyll cells which are arranged, and you will have a small opening at the base. Okay, you see this small opening, that is nothing but stoma. Okay, this is stoma or stomata. The opening is said to be stomata. This is the structure of a leaf where you see that they have Chloroplast. On the lower side of the leaf, you have an opening which is said to be the stomata. You see that these are chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll which is present, they help in trapping the sunlight through the stomatal opening. So we find that chlorophyll, sunlight, carbon dioxide, minerals, water will help in making the process of photosynthesis, or will help in carrying out the preparation of making food in plants. So the solar, it is a unique process actually on the earth. We haven't seen any of the organisms synthesizing their food using these raw materials, and we don't do, right? Do we do this process for making our food? No. So the solar energy is always captured by the leaves and stored it in the form of food. The solar energy is captured by the leaves and stored in the leaf or the plant in the form of food. So you can say that the sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the living organisms. Imagine if there is no sunlight, will the plants be able to synthesize the food? No, obviously not. If the plants are not able to synthesize the food, will heterotrophs be alive? No. And it is not only that we don't get our food, or we don't have food if there are no plants. It is also, the other thing is, we know that during the process of photosynthesis, oxygen is given out, right? And we know that oxygen is one of the important gas for our survival. We breathe in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. So if there are no plants and if there is no solar energy, obviously we will not have any oxygen to breathe in, right? So all living organisms, you can see that besides oxygen, which is essential, it is also needed for the survival of all the living organisms. And in the absence of photosynthesis, life would be impossible on earth. So this photosynthesis is one of the essential life process, because we are all dependent directly or indirectly on plants, as I've told you. So during this process of photosynthesis, the chlorophyll containing cells of leaves, the chlorophyll which is containing the cells of the leaves, they take in sunlight, in presence of sunlight and carbon dioxide, they make the food. That is nothing but carbohydrates, which can be represented in the form of a chemical equation. So let me write down. The process of photosynthesis can be represented in the form of a chemical equation. 6CO2, that is carbon dioxide, plus 12H2O, water, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, synthesize the food which is in the form of carbohydrate C6H12O6, which is nothing but glucose, stored in the form of glucose, plus 6O2, that is oxygen given out with energy. So this is how you can represent the process of photosynthesis as a chemical equation. Carbon dioxide plus water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll synthesize a food which is said to be carbohydrate, which is stored in various parts of the plant body, okay, plus 6O2 plus energy, that is oxygen plus energy. So we know that this is how the process of photosynthesis takes place in plants, and these plants are like the most important organisms on the earth's crust, because if there are no plants, I think there would not have been any other organisms sustaining on the earth crust. So during this process of photosynthesis, oxygen is released, and the carbohydrates which are being synthesized as food ultimately get converted into starch. This is a carbohydrate which ultimately gets converted into starch, and the starch which is present in the leaves. We know that food factory of the plant is leaf, right? The starch is stored in the leaves and other parts of the plant too. To test the presence of the starch, you can use iodine solution, right? That will indicate that there is a starch present inside the leaf, or the plant has undergone the process of photosynthesis. So this starch, the food is present in the form of starch. Let us do an activity to see the process of photosynthesis has taken place and the food is been stored in the leaf, right? For this activity, you need two potted plants of same kind. Let me mark one of the pot as A and one of the pot as B. Now take pot A and leave it in sunlight, and take pot B and store it in a dark room for 72 hours. Now perform the iodine test. We know that the iodine test will prove the presence of starch. Okay, so perform the iodine test with the leaves of both the pots. Okay, now what you observe, the leaves which are pot A okay, the potted plant A will definitely show a change of color. That is, the iodine is actually a blue-black solution. The blue-black solution will turn into a violet color, which indicates the presence of starch. That means we know that the raw materials which are needed for the synthesis are water, sunlight, carbon dioxide and minerals. So you have been watering the plant, you have kept it in the sunlight, so it has procured all the nutrients for the process of making food. So that's the reason it has made its food, and when you test for the starch, it has shown a color change, that is into a violet color. But when you take pot B, this haven't shown any change because this was kept in dark room for 3 days where there is no availability of sunlight. So what do you understand by this? Even if one of the nutrient or one of the raw material is not there or one of the raw material is absent, then the process of photosynthesis cannot happen. So this is what we have to prove. This is what has been proved due to this. This is what has been proved by doing this activity. Now you might have seen there are leaves other than green in color. You might have seen bougainvillea, right? Bougainvillea leaves are green in color. There are few croton plants where the leaves are of different color like red, brown, okay. That means they don't have a green pigment, rather they have red pigment or a brown pigment, right? So this photosynthesis takes place in these leaves also. Apart from this, you might have seen wherever there is a damp condition. What do you mean by damp condition? A wet condition in your room, usually at wash basins or at sinks. Wherever there is damp condition, you see that small green colored structures rooting up from that place or arising from that place. And what is this green colored slimy jelly kind of structure? What is it called? It is called as algae. I have told you this algae is also said to be autotroph. Why is it said to be autotroph? Because algae are green in color because they have a pigment called chlorophyll. And when they have a pigment called chlorophyll, they can synthesize their own food materials. So algae can also prepare their own food materials by process of photosynthesis.